In section 4, we'll be looking at practical tools that Durer has placed within the artwork, and by this I mean tools of spiritual practice. So let's start with the grindstone, which is this object here, right in the centre. It is referred to as a grindstone and a millstone, and what I'll do is I'll show the difference between the two. A millstone lays flat, and it might be pulled round in a circle, and that grinds corn and other foodstuffs. Might be pulled around by an animal or by humans, whereas a grindstone sits vertically. And that has a handle, and it sits on some kind of table, and the grindstone is used to sharpen tools on this edge here. So this is what I believe Durer is drawing here. So if we follow the grindstone, what we can see is what I believe is the first tool. It's this tablet here that the putter is writing something on. If you go to psychic school, the first thing you will learn is something called automatic writing. The idea is that if you write down the first thing that comes into your head, initially it will start off as gobbledygook, and then gradually it'll start to make sense. And it's a means by which you can learn to communicate with higher aspects of yourself, or higher realms, or angelic beings. And this is what I think Durer is referring to. Also, if you look at the angle of the grindstone, it seems to connect up to there. And Durer's also gone to great trouble to put the tool right on the edge, try and make it as obvious as possible. So next we'll look at the scales, which are here. It would be easy to say just act with balance or be balanced, but I think Durer's being more specific than that. I understand Leonardo da Vinci had techniques whereby he used his left hand and he wrote backwards with his left hand just to activate the other half of his brain, which he didn't use as much. And I think this is what Durer is referring to. And again, he's trying to make it as obvious as possible, planting it right in the head of the putter. Next, we'll look at Pythagoras. Let's begin here with, we have a hammer here, and we have these tongs here. The story is that Pythagoras is walking past the ironmongers, and he can hear them hitting a piece of metal with different size hammers, and they're producing a different note. And from that he was able to work out his Pythagorean tuning system and ratios of sizes. And I believe that's what this is a reference to. And then finally we'll look at let's look at the dog. So for a long time when I looked at this, I was seeing what I thought was a fetus of a dog. This is how it might be curled up inside the womb of its mother. But more recently, I've begun to see this as possibly related to the brain. And I'll refer to Michelangelo's drawings here. He's well known for having the picture in the Sistine Chapel with the fingers touching, which is representing the brain. But this is another image more recently I've come across, where he's taken, this is a head here, around here. And that's believed to be a reference to the brain and the brain stem. And I'm beginning to think that that could be what Durer is referencing here. So we have this pointed part and these other little bits hanging down. And then maybe the ear represents the pineal gland. And also this, if we follow that line down there, that points us right at these tongs. So that's what I believe that could be a reference to. In section 5, we're going to look at shape, notes, and numbers. My first subheading is Sonic Geometry Video. This is a reference to a video by somebody called Ian Rankin, who made a really profound discovery about the relationship between shape and notes, musical notes. I'll put a link to his video down below the description, but I'll just make a very quick summary of it here. If we take a triangle, the sum of the internal angles is always going to be 180 degrees, whatever shape that triangle is. If we take the number 180 and look it up in Pythagorean tuning chart under Hertz, that would be an F sharp. If we take the square, there are 4 times 90 degrees, that's 360. So 360 is double 180, so it's also an F sharp, it's just 1 octave higher. If we move on to the pentagon, the internal angle is 108. So 5 times 108 equals 540, which is a C sharp. So in ranking, he goes through all the different primary shapes up to, I think, a nonagon. So let's look at some of our numbers and dimensions. So here we have 72 degrees, and we have this shape which we found within here, which is this is the hexagon, and here we have a pentagram. And this is known as the hexapentacus. And I keep referring to Robert Edward Grant, but he's done a lot of work on this, and I took a quote of his and I placed that right at the very beginning of the first video in the series. So it's a very important construction. It's within our DNA, it's within nature, it's on our human body, it's everywhere. It's fundamental to life. So now if I take this, if I take this 5, 6, and I divide 5 by 6, I get 0.833, and that's recurring. It goes on forever, 333 forever. So we have 5, 6, and then 8, 3, and there's a third number in the sequence which is 4, 7. And they're all related by the Pythagorean triangle of 3, 4, 5. So 5, 4, 3. And they're related, if we take the triangle and we mirror it, and then we mirror it again down here. The length here is 3 plus 3 is 6. This is still 5. This is, so we have 4 and 4. So the total length down here is 8. So we can find all these ratios within this mirrored Pythagorean triangle. So they are, as well as the numbers and the ratios, they're also the geometries. And a very good example of 8-3 is the front of the Parthenon, which is a triangle over 8 columns. So this is how it's used in sacred geometry. So we have a 3 and the 8. So it can be, everything is interchangeable. So numbers can become sound. We can have quantities. We can have colour, and also smell, touch and taste. So 8, 3, 3. And if we look at how the columns were made, the column is 1 unit diameter, and then the column would get slightly fatter, about a third of the way up. So there's the 3. There's the 3, and then the height of that column is 8. So here again we're combining 8 and 3. So this is what Durer is doing. Let's look further for that. On this polyhedron we have a triangle. There's our 3, and the bottom is also a triangle. So we've got another 3, and there are 6 of these pentagonal shapes. So we have a total of 8 sides combined with a 3 and a 3. So there's our 8, 3, 3. If we look on the ladder, we have, let's take that away. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 full rungs, a small piece, so a total of 7, of which 4 are full, and then, so we have 7 in total. So there's our 4, 7. Now let's go to the magic square. We have, this is 5 and 6. 5, and then he's hidden a 6 underneath here. But he's also done it, I've seen it here, it doesn't show up so much in this particular print, but there is a 4 here. and a 7 there. So remember that every print is different. It depends on how hard the plate was worked. So here it is here. And the 7 there. And here's another one here. We have 15 and 14. When we're working with these numbers, we use something called digital root maths, where you sum the numbers. So this is 6 and this is 5. So there's our 6, 5 again. And finally, we had an F sharp and a C sharp. Every time we find this combination of 5, 6, 3, 8, 4, 7. They all sum to 11. And there's a balance point of 5.5, which I'll refer to in the third video in the series. But here's the interesting thing about F sharp and C sharp. It is F sharp to C sharp is a minor fourth in music. And C sharp to F sharp is a major fifth. This is the secret chord from the song Hallelujah, or secret chord progression as it could be called. So Durer has this all over the artwork, and it's very common in sacred geometry as well.